Hello, my friends. Sorry I'm a little late here getting this one going. Just got too many irons in the fire all the time. And I don't even know how to explain it. I've been kind of busy. I got that dadgum light on too. I'll turn that off once we get the first video going here. I mentioned yesterday in the vlog that I would probably have to sharpen the blades on the brush hog so that Sue could use the brush hog. In fact, I think she's using it right now. And so here's what happened when I started to do that. Oh, my friends, I was getting ready to sharpen the blades on this, and in order to do that easily, I was going to lift the back end of this up with my winch. Well, when I press the button, nothing happens. Well, you can see it's unplugged. The plug's hanging down, but that's not the problem. I unplugged it. See the dang outlet? See how it's pushed up inside there? How did that happen? Can you see how it's actually pushed up inside this thing? Now, here's the answer that I'm going to get. I'm going to ask Sue, I'm going to ask JR, I'm going to ask everybody else that's had access in here, and everybody's going to say, I don't know. This kind of stuff happens all the time. The electric is not working in that box. My guess is it's shorted out something. I checked the breaker over there, and I don't see a problem in the breakers. Either that or the wires broke or something, so I'm going in to figure it out. I just can't believe how much stuff like this happens on a daily basis around here. Now, it's either got to be the ghost of Bob or it's got to be a communist plot, one of the two. And I don't think it could be anything else. That outlet is destroyed. That's crazy. Let me see if this voltage tester shows it's still hot. It's really showing no electric in there. It's showing nothing, really. I don't know how it could have nothing. It's got to almost have thrown a breaker or something. Well, I quit filming. The outlet was busted to pieces. I don't know how that happened. The thing got smashed up inside there. And you can see here how bad the outlet is. It's just busted into smithereens. But believe it or not, that really wasn't what was keeping it from working. What was keeping it from working was a switch that I never ever use that somebody obviously had thrown. And it's this switch right here. So why that switch got thrown, I have no idea. But that was what was cutting the electric up there. I don't know. Maybe somebody saw it shorting out and found that switch. I don't have a clue. All I know is that it seems to be functioning properly now. So if I press the up button, it goes up. If I press the down button, it goes down. You know what? That's all I care about. It's fixed. That's just, yeah, constant. I mean, like, constant. You might think it surely can't happen. All stuff like that happens constant. Believe what you want. It's just nuts around here. I'm not kidding you. I need a full-time person to just follow me around and fix the stuff I can't get to. I mean, seriously, there's so much stuff all the time. And Sue definitely needs a full-time mechanic just following her around. If it ain't broke, she'll make sure it does get broke before the end of the day. Speaking of Sue, I'm going to start this video. I was editing. That's the reason I was late getting the video started. I was actually editing the video. So you're going to see the start of this video, then I'm going to click and change it, and it's going to start again, basically, is what it amounts to, I think. So anyway, sorry, but I'm going to start this, and then I've got to put in my new edited version. So here it goes. Hopefully in a day or two, I'll get back on that roof. Might be a few days. Hopefully in a day or two, I'll get back on that roof. Might be a few days, but won't be too long. Here's the water wheel, your obligatory water wheel shot. This is how my wife tries to help me. She hangs something like this in the middle of this while it's a work site. That really does help. I'm sure she did it to entertain the boys, and they used it for all of maybe 15 seconds, if that long. I would be amazed if they sat in it more than 15 seconds. When I get this frustrated, I just feed fish. Or at least that's what I'm saying. So let's see if the fish come up and how long it takes them. My guess is it won't take very long. Really mossy. There's some catfish already swimming around. There you go. Now you should be able to see them swimming around. Catfish. Speaking of my wife, there she pulls up on the four-wheeler, or side-by-side if you prefer. It's not really the standard four-wheeler. And I don't know what she's got in mind, but we will see. Yeah, there's always something. That's all I can tell you. Busy, busy, busy. And, you know, JR mentioned this the other day. He says the hardest, he started his second channel, you know, for his, what he does. You know, he's got the horse channel, and then he's got a channel on doing stuff around the farm. Well, he says doing stuff around the farm's way harder to film. He says, half the time I get started doing something, or I finish doing something, and then I go, oh, I should have filmed that. Well, with that in mind, check this out. Well, my friends, in the category of should have filmed that, I should have filmed this. This thing here tilts forward, back. You know, this has to get out of the way so you can tilt the hood forward. The hood tilts really far forward. Let me just kind of demonstrate. But it hits right there, and you can't go any further. So this thing has to tilt out of the way. Well, the problem was these keepers, see the little keeper I put in there, that little pin? That should lock in this notch. It didn't have any of those. So you would pull this out on both sides, but the pins would, you know, you pull one out and it would spring back in before you could get this one out, you know, and you'd have to wiggle this thing back and forth and try to keep one in and out. It was a pain in the neck. It's been a pain in the neck since we got the tractor. So today I thought, you know, that's something I can fix. So that's what I did. What I did was so you can see now it catches in this notch, the pin. And what is that pin? What kind of pin is it? It's just a 16 penny nail. Now there was a broken off roll pin in there, or spring pin, whatever you want to call it. I don't care what you call it. Anyway, I drove that out. Then I slid the 16 penny nail in there, and it was tight, but it wasn't tight enough to hold it. So what I did was I took a little punch and punched the 16 penny nail in several places
so that it would expand the metal out. And that's what I did, and then I just drove it into the hole, and now you can see it holds the pin on both sides. Well, that's if I can get this one out. Okay, there it is. And now I can operate this thing like it should be operated. It was really a pain in the patootie before. I'm seriously telling you, this thing was a pain in the neck. So that's much better. Now I'm going to get some oil and spray some oil around on this thing because it could use it. And of course all the YouTubers are into these eagle oilers, and I found one. And this one's got the long neck, which is a little bit awkward sometimes, but most of the time it's actually helpful because it gets you into places you couldn't otherwise get into. And I'm just going to put oil pretty much all over that pin because. And on the spring too. By the way, people don't realize that springs need oil, believe it or not. It's not a bad thing to oil a spring. Alright, so I'm going to consider that oiled. Wouldn't hurt to oil the pin down below too, so I guess I'll do that. I'll just squirt a little oil in there. Hopefully it'll flow down to that pin because it won't hardly go any other way. And if oil falls out on the floor, that's okay. There's been oil on this floor many times. I don't much care. All right, I think that's better. There we go. Sliding a little better now. And maybe now the pins will slide a little better too. There it is, it went right in. Maybe this one will slide too. They don't line up exactly perfectly, that's the other problem. I'm not sure how I can fix that. There it is. But regardless, they hold themselves open now, which was the real problem. So there you go, my friends. Just yet another project that I should have filmed fixing. But at least I filmed what I did. Maybe you can understand it and fix yours if you have one of these.
Or maybe not. Most likely you don't. Yeah, that was just yet another little side project. They come up around here constantly. Did I mention that before? Well, here's the finally I got to the actual task that I was supposed to get to.
It's not an edge that would cut you, but it's an edge. And on a big brush hog, that's about all you need. Well, I'm going to call that good. Get this board out of there. That was my stop block to keep the blade from spinning. Take my two safety boards out that would keep it from falling on me. And now I'm out from under there. So let's see, will the winch let it down easily? Yep, no problem. It's handy having a winch like that, but This particular winch is not the best. It's a Harbor Freight, and it gets stuck in the up or the down, and it always sticks at the exact time when you really don't want it to happen. That's the only time it ever sticks, and it'll do it almost every time when you're in a tight spot. Drives you nuts. Literally drives you nuts. So I would not recommend getting a Harbor Freight winch like this for your shop. I just wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how often that thing sticks at the exact wrong moment. I mean, like, it's perfectly fine. You push the button and it works just perfect, just works perfect. And then you get to that critical thing and then it goes, sticks in the up, and it just lifts your whole thing up off the ground instead of just moving it that little bit more that you wanted, you know. Drives you nuts. Well, I guess that's most of it. Did you see that I just released the video on making the shingles about an hour and a half ago, I guess? So you've had time to watch it. What are you waiting on? Let's go to the comments and see what's going on there. 111 viewers at the moment. David Tharp says, howdy all. It's been a rough week so far, but on a positive note, I didn't need any bail money and didn't have to hide any bodies. I wish I had a week like that. Rod Whitler, I checked on Google and the little purple crowns are some kind of confusing rating of how much one participates. The more I read, the less I understood. Yeah, that's what I've been talking about. It's, it makes no sense to me. Ronald Todd, good afternoon, Jerry and everyone from the West Bank of New Jersey. Let's see, and there's Dottie, and she's praying for us. Thank you, Dottie. And Bill Rhodes says, good afternoon. And David Tharp says, why must I prove that I am me when I pay my bills online? Do strangers log on to pay my bills? And if they do, why don't you let them? That's a good question. Yeah, that one there, we need to give that one some more thought. Gino Hitch, hi Jerry and friends. Beautiful day here in Monroe, Ohio. I go back the 10th for cataract surgery on my right eye. My left eye is doing amazingly good. How are the shingles going? Well, yeah, I just released a video on that. That'll kind of give you my present status. So when you get a minute, you'll be able to watch that and figure that out. I still got a long way to go. The problem with cutting shingles now, well, first of all, it's a rainy day here, so I'm not even doing anything out there. But the problem with shingles, cutting them at this point in time, in this time of the year, number one, it's the sap that's running out of those cedars. Number two, it's all the ticks and chiggers and nastiness that's out there. And number three, it's just the raw heat and humidity. It's hard work. Let's see, Ronald Todd, sunny and 88 here today. Summer's here. Yeah, it's for sure here. After we went live, David Tharp says, if by do you do crunches means the sound of makes when you bite into bacon, then yes, I do crunches. Boy, do I ever do crunches. I love crunches. Theron Corbett, it was always my siblings, not me. I don't know around my... Yeah, that's what it always says. I see stuff like that all the time. Then I go, who's the one that did what's XYZ? And they all go, I don't know, wasn't me. It's constantly like that. Bill Mumbo, it's not easy being you. Well, hey, you're starting to get it. And, hey, yeah, you're the first one, Bill. I think starting to get it. Let's see, Paul Akers, was the winch DC power and you converted it to AC? No, that's a regular actual ceiling winch, and it's always been AC. They sell them that way. I've actually got two of those Harbor Freight ones. I probably should change the one I have another one in part of the shop where it just lifts a vacuum hose up out of my way. That's all it does. It just, I hang, because there's so much vacuum hose and it's always hanging down in my way, so I just hook it onto that and lift it up out of the way, and then when I need it, I just push the button and the vacuum drops down. So I probably should switch the winches. Maybe that one doesn't seem to stick like this one does. Of course, if you put it under weight, it might. Who knows? Ronald Todd says, just to comment on Sue's behalf, if you don't do anything, you can't break anything. Oh, I get it. Trust me, I get it. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Like I said, she's harder working. She's the only person I know that works harder than me. That's the only person I know. Seriously. Sidecar Bob, like you, I'm not an electrician, but I have done a lot of electrical work around here. One thing I have learned is that things work a lot better if you turn them on. Yeah, that always helps. After thinking about it even longer, more than likely something just fell off of that post and knocked that switch off. Is probably what happened. One of those helmets, because we got several welding helmets, and occasionally they fall off. So it probably just fell off and knocked that switch off. I forgot that switch was even there, to be honest with you. But that still doesn't explain how that outlet got busted, though. I have no idea how that happened. Stuff happens around here is all I can tell you. David Thorpe, don't always use a big word when a singularly unloquacious and diminutive linguistic expression will satisfactorily accomplish the contemporary necessity. That's what I always say. I say that those exact words all the time. People just won't listen to me. I agree 100%. Floyd Countryman, Jerry, is Sue's Zero Turn More a Hustler brand? No, not sure. No, it's not. It's called a Great Dane. It was an individual brand invented by a guy in our area. I think. I'm not sure about that. I could be wrong on that. But anyway, Sue saw him demonstrated at some fair or something, some big show somewhere. She saw them being demonstrated, and she wanted me to take a look at them. And once I took a look at it, I go, yeah, that thing's made really well. It's way heavier duty than your average. Yeah, it's really a heavy-duty mower, and it's super fast. I mean, that sucker, when you push it all the way forward, it's going dang near like a four-wheeler. It's hauling. And because of that, the blades turn extra fast to keep up with your speed, you know. Those blades, when you turn them on, they sound like a helicopter. They just go boom. It shakes the whole machine. They just turn on, and it's crazy. It's just made different than your average. That's one of the reasons why I keep fixing it, because it's such a good mower. But it's really up in very good shape. I know people think, well, because you have so much trouble, but, it's 20-some years old, And I would say it's probably still more reliable than your average lawnmower that most people have. It really is. It's especially when you consider the rough abuse that it gets here. I mean, it hits as many rocks as it hits grass. I mean, it's a mess. David Tharp, if I went to the store to get some insect spray, I asked the clerk, is this good for wasps? He said, no, it will kill them. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. Ronald died. Jerry did all... it moved on me right when I started reading it. Did all that sap gum up the sawmill blade? No. It didn't hurt the sawmill blade at all. In fact, you couldn't even tell it had gone through it. I think it's because you're going through such a thin layer of it. And now, if you were cutting, tangent to that sap gooey sap, it would be a mess. Or if you were cutting actual boards out of it, you got to realize for the most part, I only made 4 cuts just to square up that block. 4 cuts, and then I was done with that block. One of those blocks, I think the first one, I ended up making an extra cut, but still 5 cuts on that block, and then, it was square. So, no, it doesn't really. And then once you get the sap cut off of it, like I said, the bark and the sap's just on that outer edge. That's it. Once you cut that off, the rest of the block is perfectly fine. You can handle it with your hands. You don't get anything on your hands at all after that. It's only in the bark area. And that video I put out an hour and a half ago demonstrates that, shows it very well. So if you haven't seen that video, you should check that out. Scott Roberts, I was watching the shingle making video and got interrupted by some gray-haired geezer coming in late with some video about fixing machinery. I wonder who that was. Let's see. Zappa, Jerry, your sticking winch sounds like the control switch is sticking. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's got nothing to do with that. I don't think it's got anything to do with the actual buttons on that. I really don't. I don't know. It's never something simple with me like that. Well, actually, almost all problems are fairly simple. The thing is just figuring out what it is, what's causing it. But I don't think it's the button sticking. James Akers, is it the button that? Oh, there we go. No, I don't think it's the button. Try some electrical lube and electronic cleaner, clean it up. Yeah. Well, I'll look at it closer. Maybe it is, and I just don't realize it. But it sure doesn't seem like that's the case. Does not seem like that's the case at all. Because it'll stick in either direction, and you just touch it and it'll go off. I mean, like you just touch it and it'll go the other direction. Is what I mean. It doesn't seem to be sticking like that at all. And you don't feel the button go in and stay in or anything like that. It doesn't do that. So I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's a button issue. It seems like it's something more in the electronics or control or something like that to me. But then again, it's probably something very simple. Bill Mumbo, David, I should also be concomitant. I've never seen that word, I don't think. Concomitant and apropos, complementing and enforcing the vernacular. Yeah, that's what I would say that also if I understood it. Hugh O'Connor, have you ever thought of putting in an inspection pit in the workshop, as you obviously don't have enough to do? Well, I'm seriously still considering adding on to the end of that shop and making like a 16 by 16, and I was either thinking of putting in a pit or actually putting in a lift, one of the two. Chipwood, did you get the creek bed cleaned up? Not any further than you saw in the video. It's still in that position, and it rained all night. It rained like 2 inches, and it looks like it's raining out there again. Although Sue, I should have showed it to you. She just came in just like a minute before we went live, and she brought in this pot about that big around, about that completely full of raspberries. Where in the heck did you get that? Because I thought she planted them somewhere, and she said she just found them up on the trail, up in the woods. That's where she was taking the tractor and the brush hog, was to go up there and cut around the big patch so she could get to them all, and she was going to pick a bunch more. I don't know if it's raining right now. It kind of looks like it might be, but she was headed back up there, so I don't know if she's out there in the rain or what the deal is. Ronald Todd, that broken outlet has JR written all over it. It's possible. I'm not saying, I didn't create the problem. I mean, it's possible. Maybe I backed something in there and, had something sticking up and hit it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it happened. I don't remember anything that I would have done that would have created a problem like that, but stuff just happens around here. Trust me. I think it's mostly like somebody said, because you're doing stuff, you're always doing stuff and stuff happens, It's just a side issue. Ronald, Scott Roberts, I went to the paint store to get thinner. It didn't work. Well, I'd ask for your money back if I was you. Bill Webb, good afternoon, Jerry and friends. Paul Lyle, yeah, Jerry, did you ever check out the song Big Mamo, the Cajun song? No, I don't think so. I don't think I've ever seen or heard of that. Bill Webb says, that would be such a distraction that I'd never get back to the original task. I'm not sure what we were talking about on that one. One of those side projects that I was doing. I'm not sure which one. Maybe the electrical one. I don't know. I get interrupted so much. And like I said, Randy Rogers and Jim Carroll, they both saw that when I was working on their instruments in the shop, how often I got interrupted. They go, now we know what you mean. You get interrupted a lot, don't you? I go, yeah, you'd be surprised. Out here in the middle of nowhere, how often I get interrupted. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. Chip Wood, any way to get the excavator into the ditch, then put the silt on the ground, then pick it up with the Bobcat? Well, that kind of crossed my mind, but no, there's really no good way to get it in there. I mean, I could actually lift it and put it down in there with the Bobcat. There's no doubt. But it's right there in the front yard, and I was trying not to tear it up any more than I had to. And the Bobcat, that's the reason I'm not using the backhoe on the Bobcat. The backhoe on the Bobcat, honestly, it doesn't reach any further, I don't think. Maybe it might reach further, but I don't think it does. I think if anything, I think the excavator actually reaches a little bit further than the Bobcat does. They both dig about 8 or so feet deep, or at least that's their claim. I don't think you could really dig that deep with that excavator, to be honest with you. But so they both have a very similar reach. But regardless, I could probably pick up the mini excavator and actually set it down in the creek. Probably could do that. But then honestly, the creek sides are high and the bank is up higher. I'm not sure I could the little mini excavator. I'm not sure it would reach up and dump the dirt up there. I mean, it's just not. Yeah, it's just not it's not a real excavator. It's more of a toy, but it is fairly powerful. It does do some real work. You just have to, you have to work within its constraints, and it does have a lot of constraints, especially the tippy part. Let's see. Scott Roberts says, thumbs up, everybody. If you would do that, I'd appreciate it. David Tharp, if you notice this notice, you will notice that this notice is not worth noticing. Say that 10 times fast. No, thank you. Once was plenty for me. Theron Corbett, your solution to cleaning the creek out just went back to Ohio. Ha ha. The boys, get them down there. Well, believe it or not, I shouldn't even tell this story. Probably I shouldn't. JR did something when he was in high school. Wasn't good. And he was in trouble with the principal. Let's just say it that way. And I, for punishment, said, you will dig every bit of that ditch line. And he did. He dug it all the way from the house, all the way down to where it drops off into the creek, where between the concrete, let's just say it that way. So it's about, I don't know, 20 yards at least, maybe a little further than that. Probably more like 30 yards. And I said, I want it perfectly flat. And because there's also little concrete, like waterfalls, So I want it level with that concrete waterfall. And then like you terraces down, and then there's another one, and then there's another concrete waterfall. I want it complete. So he had to dig all of that out flat with a wheelbarrow and a shovel. That was his punishment for what he did. I won't go into it. But yeah. But he did it because he knew I was serious. He knew he didn't have an option. And he did it. And so all of that you see in there has built up. That was a long time ago. He did that. That wasn't long after we moved here. So, it's been 20 years or more since he did that. And it's pretty full again now. That's why I'm cleaning it out. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Bill Mumba says there's a song on a Hank Williams Jr. called The Big Mamu. Okay. Let's see. Scott Roberts. That. Okay. Let's see. That's 10 times. Let's see. G&P Old Marine Shop. Hello, Jerry. I have seen 4-post lifts for $3,500, thinking of getting one, being in the same age bracket as you. Yeah, I'm really seriously thinking about getting one of those lifts. Now, I don't know if I'll get the 4-post or the 2-post. I was actually thinking of going with the 2-post. I think they're more expensive, but I was thinking of going with the 2-post. But then again, who knows? Zappa suggests to Sue she spread some Miracle Grow around the berry bush. Okay. She'll probably spread horse manure, more than likely. Chip Wood. Will the bobcat fit into the creek? No, it wouldn't. Not even sort of, kind of. It's every bit as wide as that creek is, I'm sure, and you wouldn't be able to maneuver at all if you got it in there. Plus, like I said, there's terraces and they drop straight off, so even if you got it in there, you couldn't do much. And you'd never get it out. It would not be the thing to get down in there for sure. Wavy Gravy, here's a music video idea for you. Do Mama Don't Allow and include all the chores you do on your farm. Whew, that'd be the longest song in the history of songs. Yeah. Now, we've done that before. Mama Don't Allow no banjo picking here, that kind of thing. We've done that. G&P Old Marine Shop, just like the fact you drive on and off no setting legs. Just like the fact you drive on and off no setting legs. Let's see. Oh, okay, I got you. The for the 4-post lift versus the 2-post lift. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's really of no consequence one way or the other to me, I don't think. Mainly, I just want to lift because there's so many pieces of equipment here, and I'm always having to get underneath them. And the one thing I do have that's not good, that I don't talk about very often, is I have significant vertigo when I turn my head certain ways down under stuff. Very significant vertigo, to the point where it'll almost make me sick to my stomach enough to throw up, and makes me dizzy enough I can barely stand up. I really do have to be careful how I turn my head, especially if I'm leaning down and looking back up under something. Wow, that's killer. So that's another reason I was thinking about getting a lift. I could walk under it and just look up, and it's not quite as bad that way. let's see, Paul Lyle. Yeah, Jerry, that fiddler's name is Finland Frenchie Burke. He's the one that did the song Big Mamu. Check it out if you can. Well, I don't want to offend anybody, but it's just not my style of music. I'm just not into that Cajun type music at all. It just doesn't do anything for me. Wow, did you hear that thunder? That lightning, or whatever you want to call it, thunder, I guess it is. It's really loud if I can hear it in here. Like I said, this is an insulated room completely, meaning isolated in the fact that there's a roof above this roof that's here. Like there's 6 feet of space, and then there's a room on each side and a room on all sides. So if I can hear the thunder in here that loud, it's loud. It was really loud too. Whew, that was almost scary. I will check out the Mamu thing, but like I said, it's just not my thing. I'll try to remember to look it up. G&P Old Marine Shop, it's a lazy man's lift. Ha. Yeah, or a busy man's lift, either one. Well, I'm out of ideas, and I'm not your guy with the shovel anymore. Yeah, no, there's no simple solution there. It's only about, I'm going to say 6 feet wide, maybe, if it's even that wide. I don't even know if it's quite that wide. And there's about at least 18 inches of concrete down to the flat. In some places, I'd say it's more like 3 to 4 feet of concrete. And, so you're just boxed in there. And then if you, came out to where the waterfall is, you're going to drop off 2 feet there. So it's a mess. Yeah, it's not something you can get a machine down in easily. The little excavator would fit, but you'd just tear up the yard so bad with the skid steer putting it in there and then taking it back out, So it's, I don't know, it's just not worth it. Amos B. Haven, advantage of 2 posts would be versatility of what you could lift. Yeah, I don't know that much about them, to be truthful. I had looked at both different ones, and to me, the 2 posts seemed to be the most logical for my purposes. But then again, I could be wrong. Let's see. Scott Roberts, I've had positional vertigo that has made me throw up. Yeah, well, my vertigo, I never had anything even resembling vertigo ever until I got that Meniere's disease. And I've told the story about the Meniere's disease, but just because I know there's lots of new people since I told that. But anyway, I can't lay down in a bed, and so, like occasionally, most of the time I would sleep in my chair in the other room, and then because of my back and everything, and so I would sleep sitting up kind of. Well, every once in a while I'd want to lay down a little bit, so I'd go over to the couch and I'd lay down and I'd put my head on the pillow. Well, trying to remember which way it happened. I can't remember. It's like it was, I didn't hear anything, I guess, and then I turned my head over to the other side, so now this side's up, and I can hear it's raining and, thunder and everything. I could hear the raining and the thunder. So I put my head back down the other way. I couldn't hear anything. I mean, like nothing out of this ear. So my left ear had developed Meniere's disease overnight. And what Meniere's disease is, and I'm just giving you the layman's explanation that the doctor gave me. He said, there's apparently three little different, trying to think of, containers is the best word I can think of. There's 3 little containers in there with 3 different fluids in there or something. Anyway, that somehow ruptures and those all run together, and it creates a problem. That's the best explanation I got. It's probably not exactly right. But anyway, the point is it creates hearing loss. It creates all kinds of problems. I mean, I couldn't hear nothing out of that ear. So I go to the doctor, and then they start giving me these medicines and things, and the medicines really did a number on me. I was on those medicines and off of caffeine for a year, and during that whole year, I didn't sleep at all, like 2 hours at the most in any stretch, because I didn't have any caffeine. Caffeine makes me sleep. It was just a bad year. And then during that year, I almost gave up music entirely, because as the hearing was coming back, or during, I don't know, it really wasn't coming back yet. But anyway, during that whole time, whenever I would hit the mandolin, and where you would normally just strum a guitar or strum a mandolin like that, instead of hearing the strum or the chop, what I would hear was, it sounded exactly like you stuck a screwdriver in a light socket. It would just go whenever you would hit the strings. There was no music sound whatsoever. It was like that. It was terrible. It was terrible. So when we had shows to play during that year too. So I would stand with my right ear to the band. I would stand on the far left of the stage and have everybody on my right, because my right ear I could still hear fine, but the left ear, yeah, if any loud noise hit my left ear, it was just static. That's all I would hear. It was bad, man. And from that point on, I had, in fact, during that time, I had so severe vertigo that literally I could not, I couldn't stand it. I mean, I couldn't do anything. I mean, like, I'd be sitting in a chair, and the vertigo would hit, and the whole room would, it didn't seem like it was spinning slowly. It was spinning like this. I mean, like spinning so fast, everything was a streak. I couldn't even see. It was the most bizarre experience I ever had in my life. Well, fortunately, that cleared up to the point where now I just have occasional vertigo if I turn my head the wrong way and look the wrong way under there. It's not as bad as it used to be. It's still pretty bad, but it's not like that at all. It was so bad that I would feel like I was literally falling off of a building sitting in a chair. I'd just be sitting in a chair, and I'd feel like I was just falling out of the sky. It was unbelievable. The craziest experiences I ever had. Let's see. Moving on down. Well, actually, we're moving back up. B.H. Ringer from Nova Scotia there. And let's see. Scott Robert. Kami. I love Cajun music. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't dislike it or anything. It's just not my thing. You know, I just don't get into it. Some Cajun tunes are good. Diggy, yeah. Jambalaya, yep. Well, I guess, let's see, Zappa says, well, I guess I can expect storms in St. Louis real soon. Possibly. Bill Mumbo, I can still hear it thundering out there. I love Cajun music. My band had a roadie who played accordion, so we did some Cajun music. My brother Scott can play an accordion. GNP on Marine Shop, 4 posts, you can move around. Yeah, I guess so. Let's see. Thank you for prayers, and I'm sending prayers for you. 2 others are on my prayer list as well. Good. And he's talking to Dottie there. Sorry. Don Nice. Jerry, nice red shirt. Oh, thank you. Bill Mumbo, we played Cajun music occasionally. Scott Roberts, Don Nice, it's yellow. Now one of you guys are colorblind. Scott Roberts, funny, caffeine relaxes me and I sleep fine. Yeah, I absolutely have the paradoxical reaction to lots of things. The things that wire most people put me to sleep. The things that put most people to sleep wire me up. Yeah. Like over-the-counter drugs that say, don't take this and don't drive if you take this because you'll fall asleep or whatever. That will wire me up to the point where I couldn't sleep for 2 days. It's nuts. let's see. Yeah, vertigo and ear problems are very common. GP, yep. Ronald Todd, your brother Scott can play anything. Yes, he literally can. And I'm not exaggerating. Yeah, there was a time when he was like 10 years old. He would come home with a different band instrument every day and play the thing. I mean, like something, he'd never had any lessons, not any at all. And he'd just bring home an instrument and just play it. It was just bizarre. It really was. I mean, like he'd bring him a trumpet, or he'd bring home a clarinet, or, or just whatever he had. He'd bring home an accordion, anything, he could play it. Crazy. Paul Lyle, old brother vertigo, got all kinds of. Jerry had it since I was 75. Blood pressure medicine kind of made it even worse. Yeah, it's not fun, I can tell you that. I would say I would have had it as severe as you could possibly get it during the process of that Meniere's disease. I don't think you could get it any worse than I had it. Now it's not quite so bad. It's just not good. It's not near as bad as it was. I mean, I have a real good basis of comparison. It still make you sick to your stomach, but it ain't nothing like it used to be. Dottie, thank you, Paul. I'll take the prayers I can get. Yep. Yeah, we all need a lot of that. 106 viewers, so we seem to be dwindling on our viewership, unfortunately. That's kind of sad. But guys, I'm going to let that be it. Thank you for being here. I will see you tomorrow with something else. And if you haven't checked out that video on making the shingles from start to finish, and I'm talking about cutting the tree down all the way to putting them on the roof, and little water wheel action in there, thrown in there just for good measure. So check it out. See you later.